So we got this report today from Howard Beck that an NBA executive told him he won't be shocked if Ja Morant gets moved. And there's some basis to this report because it's Howard Beck. Howard Beck, his reputation goes a little bit further than guys like Jake Fisher, Evan Siddery, guys who just post rumors to post rumors, who just do it for clickbait engagement. Howard Beck is actually pretty legit. He's been a beat writer for a long time. You know, he's not a guy who's looking for content engagement. If he's posting something, that means somebody actually told him this. So can the Bulls get in on the Ja Morant sweepstakes? That's the big question that I'm asking, because the quickest way to turn your team around is to get a superstar. Look at the Grizzlies. As soon as they got Ja Morant, they were competitive. They didn't make the playoffs his first year there, but they were vying for that 8 seed. If COVID hadn't cut that season short, who knows? And then his second year, you know, they're a playoff team. And we've seen them grow with him. Last year, he was out with the suspension and the injury, and they became a lottery team again. So Ja Morant is a guy who can raise both the floor and the ceiling of your team. Getting a guy like that on the Chicago Bulls, that would be the fastest way to improve them. Now, I did tweet this tweet above me here, and I was 99% sarcastic. I fully realized that to get Ja Morant, you're going to need to include this year's draft pick, and I'm cool with including this year's draft pick. If the Bulls fall out of the top 5, which, let's be honest, man, we know the Bulls, we know their lottery history, they're going to fall out of the top 5. So if that pick is, you know, between 6 and 11, absolutely include it for Ja Morant. Hell, I'll say if that pick is outside of the top 3, even if it's 4 or if it's 5, include it for Ja Morant. If it's, maybe even if it's 3, I might include it for Ja Morant. You know, Cooper Flagg is the obvious guy in this draft. I like Dylan Harper a lot. Outside of that, when I see Ace Bailey and I see his stats and I see the highlights and stuff, I don't see a guy who's going to transform your franchise. I see a guy who's going to be a better version of Michael Beasley in the NBA. He'll get you a bucket, but he's not going to do much else that contributes to winning. We're seeing that with Brandon Miller, or at least we were seeing that with Brandon Miller before he went out this year. So I wouldn't put him on that pedestal. Ja Morant is a franchise-changing talent. If the Bulls can go ahead and get him, they got to do it. If you got Ja Morant and you got Modest Buzelis, those can be the 2 pillars of your franchise going forward. He's an easy guy to build a team around too. Look at the Grizzlies. They don't surround him with superstars. They're really good at scouting and really good at drafting. They hit on their second round picks all the time. And that's why they're so competitive with Ja Morant. They don't need to surround him with superstars. He's a superstar on himself. So they just surround him with competent role players. He'd be a guy where I don't know why the Grizzlies would trade him. Maybe they're sick of his dad. Maybe they're sick of the off-the-court stuff. Maybe they're sick of the injuries. Ja Morant does miss a lot of games this year. I think he's only played in like 60% of their games, so maybe they're kind of sick of that too. Maybe the Luka Doncic trade has just made every team reevaluate how much they're investing into these guys and kind of saying everybody's on the block for the right price. But either way, man, this is what the Chicago Bulls need to do. People keep asking, how far are the Chicago Bulls away from contending for a playoff spot? They're pretty fucking far unless they go out and get a superstar. If they can trade for a Ja Morant, if they can trade for a guy with some baggage like Zion Williamson and hope that he turns his career around, hope he takes it seriously, that'd be a pathway there. Trading for a star is a much more proven way to build a true contender than holding out for hope in the draft. So if Ja Morant's available, I'm saying I'd go all in. I'd try to get him. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think Ja Morant is actually available? Do you want him on the Chicago Bulls? What would be the pluses? What would be the minuses? I'm all for it. He can be the new version of Derrick Rose on the Chicago Bulls.